This is Dr. Chris's Radio Horror Program, 91.3 FM, WCUW in Worcester, with a recorded interview with actress Catherine Mary Stewart, who we met at the Rhode Island Comic-Con in last November. Thank you for coming on the show with us, Catherine.
My pleasure. I'm glad we finally figured this all out.
Definitely. Before we get into some of your more classic films that you're well known for, what are you currently working on?
I just shot a movie up in Rochester, New York called Hero of the Underground. It's my friend Tom Malloy wrote and is producing and starring in it. And it's kind of a dark story about that. It's based partially on his own experience. About this guy who works in a hotel and just kind of all the. It's a relatively kind of high class hotel, but there's lots of sort of dark, I guess, underground kind of weird things that go on behind closed doors that you wouldn't normally think of as happening in a hotel kind of like this. But he was kind of witness to lots of these weird things. So he wrote a script about it, and it's kind of interesting. It involves, drugs, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, I would say.
Wow. And what's the name of this movie again?
Pardon me?
What's the name of this movie again?
It's called Hero of the Underground.
Interesting. And who's directing it?
Here we go. It's not underground. It's Hero of the Underworld. I'm going to have to record that, okay? I'm sorry.
No, that's
underground.
Fine.
I'm telling you, I just got back from Virginia. I was in LA, went to Rochester, went to Virginia, and I'm going to France, on Saturday. So I'm just all over the place. So I apologize for being kind of, hard to get a hold of, first of all, and kind of screwing things up. Okay, it's called Hero of the Underworld, not Underground.
Cool.
And the director is John Vincent.
John Vincent.
Mm-hmm.
Have you worked with him before?
He's done a few things. The last thing he did was a short called Fields of Clover. I haven't worked with him before myself.
Out of everything that you've done in your career, what are you probably most recognized for?
Recognized probably Night of the Comet or The Last Starfighter. But I was also in Weekend at Bernie's, and a lot of, Bernie's fans recognized me from that.
Yeah, that was definitely kind of cool that you and the dead body of Bernie were both at the Rhode Island Comic-Con.
I know, and so was Jonathan Silverman and Andrew McCarthy. Did you meet them as well?
No, I only had a chance to meet Larry from Three's Company, who I didn't even realize was Larry from Three's Company until I got to his table.
Oh, is that right? Well, over the years we change, I guess.
He was also in Friday the 13th, Part 7, A New Blood. A lot of horror fans know him from that.
Okay, there you go.
Are you a big horror fan yourself?
I have got into horror a little more since I started doing these conventions. But, I don't consider Night of the Comet sort of a traditional horror movie, although it has the zombies in it, and there's lots of, there's some gory bits and whatnot. But, I never really was into horror so much. But I was sort of blown away by the fans of these conventions and how dedicated they are to horror. And the guy who reps me at these places too is like a big horror fan. So he's kind of, every time I do one and he's around, he gives me a list of new horror movies to watch. Like even as simple as Friday the 13th. I'd never really seen that. So I have to say though, nowadays I find horror movies so intense that I can't even watch them. They're too scary for me.
Yeah, Night of the Comet does have some horror elements in it, but you're right, it's definitely more of the post-apocalyptic sci-fi genre.
Yeah, and it also, has a sort of a tongue-in-cheek element to it, too. That's what I think makes it very unique. It's such an unlikely situation of the fact that these, gun-wielding movie, and then, I mean, just throughout the whole movie, it's kind of funny. There's a funny element to it as well. And I think one of the nice things about it, too, is that because it's about these young women, and you kind of learn about them and you can relate to them, I think a lot of young women can relate to it, that it's okay to be this strong, take charge person as a younger woman.
You were in The Girl Next Door, based on the Jack Ketchum novel?
That's right.
Oh my god, I recommend that. I say you want a truly terrifying experience that'll make you, especially if you're a woman, cross your legs and just shiver. Watch The Girl Next Door and read the book by Jack Ketchum. Jack has been on the show several times. He's probably one of my most frequent guests. And that movie is just,
It's horrifying. It really is, and it's based on true events too, which makes it even worse. But yeah, it's a very disturbing story and movie, to be sure, and made it pretty realistic, I thought. Maybe almost too realistic. I just played the story is told by the boy next door who kind of observes this whole thing, and I play his mother. So I'm not privy to everything that's going on next door, but watching the movie afterwards, wow, it was intense.
Did you read the novel before you got into the movie?
I didn't.
Okay, did you read it afterwards?
I did not. The movie was enough for me, frankly.
But as a woman,
Jack Ketchum, he was on the set when we were shooting it, and I've met him several times since. I've even seen him at conventions, selling his books. So, yeah, no, it's a disturbing subject, and I did not read the book, no.
I'm actually, once I get some of my other projects squared away, I'm actually working on a filmography guide to movies based on Ketchum's novels.
Oh, wow. That's sting.
With approval by Jack himself.
Good, excellent.
Yeah, so I'll keep your number on hand to give you a call once we get that kind of going, because we'll be contacting actors and actresses from the movie.
Okay, perfect.
Cool.
Great.
Yeah. So you were also one of my favorite films called Night Flyer, which I loved.
Okay. Yep, I was in that one too. Yeah, that was a sort of an interesting movie.
Any cool stories you could tell us about the film?
Well, it was an interesting experience because they were sort of experimenting with some special effects. Michael Praed was basically a hologram in the thing, so that was kind of interesting. And I played this character that was sort of half robot, half human, which was a challenge. It was supposed to have sort of super strength and whatnot, and intellect, but not a lot of emotion. So that was kind of cool, and just I think that's sort of the only movie that I've really done that's in outer space too. Literally, supposedly in outer space, flying around in pods and things like that. So that was fun too. Such an incredible cast. Lisa Blount, who has since passed away sadly. She and I did another movie together. Hold on, I gotta remember what it's called now. It was a TV movie.
The movie Dead at 17, is that based on the graphic novel?
No,
okay.
Not at all. That was an original script for Lifetime.
Okay, because that's also the name of a graphic novel about a girl who comes back from the dead and becomes kind of a serial killer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That sounds very interesting.
Yeah. Very kind of anime drawn, very, kind of like Batman the Animated Series where everyone has like square and pointy chins depending on if they're male or female, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. No, that was a TV movie that I did. Back to Night Flyers, and talk about a great cast. It was sort of interesting because Robert Collector, who was the director/writer, didn't really have an end to the movie. So we were that was sort of interesting. It was based on a short story. So that was kind of a scramble in the end, but it was a pretty good experience, I have to say.
And of course, again, as I said before, one of my favorite movies of all time, it was the movie I was like, who's this woman? This woman is awesome, was The Last Starfighter.
No, well, thank you. Yeah, that was the very first movie I did in the States. I'm from Canada originally, and the first movie I did ever was called The Apple, and I was living in London, England at the time. And I was cast as the lead in this movie called The Apple. And so previous to that, I was a dancer, so that changed the direction of my career, and I ended up in Los Angeles and was cast in The Last Starfighter. It's the last movie, the first movie that I did, excuse me. And it was such a wonderful experience, and I'm really proud of it because I feel like it's stood the test of time.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even like, I think the video game, even though the graphics are clearly outdated compared to a game like, Gears of War or something like that, I think the gameplay is still very relevant and useful to today's modern gamer.
Well, apparently, when we were shooting that, they were deciding whether to use traditional special effects or go with the CGI.
Yep.
And they were literally, as we were shooting the movie, they were creating programs for those special effects. And these are programs that basically set the foundation for special effects today. So they were groundbreaking, truly. I mean, I didn't even know this. I attended the 20th anniversary of the Last Starfighter screening, and a lot of the special effects guys were there, and they were telling all these stories that I had no idea about. That they would just sort of 24/7, as we were shooting, they would be sitting in wherever they were on their computers, figuring out how to create these special effects. And, every once in a while, somebody would sort of go, Eureka, or something like that. They'd figure out a formula or whatever it is you do for that. So, yes, they're definitely dated special effects, but they were the original kind of CGI effects that are still being used today.
Now, is the game in the movie, is it actually built for the main character to play? And if so, did everyone get a chance to play it?
No, not really. I believe it was the effects were put in after the fact.
Okay, so he's just staring at a blank screen, just hitting a button and
yeah,
a joystick.
Getting excited, and we basically had an idea what was going on, but he wasn't actually playing the game.
That was one of two movies when I watched as a kid, I loved every scene in it, except there was two scenes in that movie that as a kid, as a little kid, you're intimidated by stuff. Now I'm jaded, I'm like, whatever. But there's a scene where when the android lifts the sheet up and he's still forming and his face is all weird. And when the alien who kidnaps your boyfriend reveals his true alien face, and it shocks everybody. I remember seeing it in theaters and a lot of people screaming.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. It was unique for the time, I guess.
You also have one of the You also have one of the best lines in that movie when you tell your boyfriend who just came back from outer space, "I'm sorry if my weird sexual advances are too much for you."
Yeah, I'm sort of repeating what he said, right?
Yeah.
No, it was fun, and Lance Guest and I are still good friends today.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What's one of the best stories from that set?
Oh my goodness, the best stories, the very, very best.
Well, something involving you, obviously. Don't talk about Lance. I would have Lance on the show, but it's something like that happened to you, or something that was just really like off the wall while you were filming The Last Starfighter.
I don't know if anything off the wall really happened. We did a lot of night shooting, and so that was that was a drag, if nothing else. It was. The experience on The Last Starfighter was really a great experience. Nick Castle, the director, created such a wonderful atmosphere there. I mean, my stuff was, shot pretty much all in the trailer park and pretty much all at night. And that was a pretty controlled situation. There was a lot of crazy stuff that happened. We did do a reshoot in the studio, and I got to meet Robert Preston, which was very exciting because I actually had no scenes with him in the movie. And so I was lucky enough to do a reshoot at the studio on the same day that he was doing a reshoot. So I finally got to meet him. And that was just one of the most exciting things for me.
The Weekend at Bernie's is definitely an unusual type of comedy, and you definitely look absolutely gorgeous in the movie.
Oh, thank you.
The Witches of Eastwick, I'll tell you about that. I had never seen that movie until last year when it was on Netflix.
You mean the one that I did?
Yep.
It was shot as a pilot for a potential series, but it wasn't picked up. Yeah, it was based on the movie, for sure. I played one of the witches.
Yep.
But they were trying to make a series of it. And
didn't they just try that again?
It ended up being a TV movie.
Didn't they just try that again?
They did.
Yeah.
They did, just recently, like a couple of years ago, or a year ago.
Wow. Huh.
It's they keep trying, but it for some reason doesn't click.
What would you say is your favorite film of all time?
That I love. Oh my gosh.
Put you on the spot with that one.
Huh?
I said I put you on the spot with that one.
Yeah, you did. I'm gonna go with Sound of Music. Ha!
Ah!
Yeah, my favorite movie more recently is Philomena, but that which was up for an Academy Award. I thought it was wonderful. Yeah, I love movies. I go to movies all the time. I love foreign movies. It's hard to say one movie that I love more than another, but I have to say I rented Sound of Music recently, and I loved it. And it was it was around when I was a little kid, and I remember in my hometown it played for like 10 years. It was always just the sound of music is still here. So I had to sort of go back and look at it again just to see, what it was and why it's such an iconic movie. And I'm telling you, it's a fantastic thing. I love it. I love Julie Andrews.
I have never seen it.
Oh, see? You gotta go see it. I'm sure you'd love it.
Yeah, right. I'm into movies that you're in and horror movies. I don't think they're the same as The Sound of Music.
Yeah, it's a little different.
There's a big stretch between
different genre, but
There's a big difference between a movie that makes fun of cadavers and necrophilia and The Sound of Music.
just slightly. Yeah, probably not the thing you'll see at a horror convention.
Absolutely. Well, Catherine, we appreciate you taking some time out to talk with us and come on the show with us.
Oh, my pleasure. It was a pleasure. And be gentle with me when you do the outtakes because those are on the web forever,
We will. We definitely will. Thank